3, 2, 1. How's it going, everybody? Today, we're going to be talking about the Marvel Strike Force Players Voice Movement. In particular, a sponsored article that was written on GamesBeat, which I guess is some sort of gaming website news thing, whatever the case may be. We're going to go over this, and we're going to go over some official messaging from Sevi. I'm going to talk about my thoughts on things as we go, and we'll try and keep this, hopefully, under 20 minutes. Otherwise, we're just going to get yapping, as I did get triggered the first time I read everything. Let's keep going. All right. Giving players a seat at the dev table had a profound impact on our game, Marvel Strike Force, and on our own team. I agree with that. We're going to get into how that came to be. Traditionally, when developers want to know how a game is received, they hire research firms to organize focus groups or scour message boards on sites like Reddit to get a pulse on player sentiment. Yes, you should definitely go to Reddit to get a pulse on how much people hate you. That's all Reddit is known for, okay? But recently at Scopely, we tried something a little different. Communities are the heart of everything we do at Scopely. We never created a game that didn't have a digital community. We've guided by the principle that life is better when we play together, and we truly believe that. Recently, we saw another valuable facet of this core belief when our Marvel Strike Force general manager, Ryan Jacobson, received an invitation to speak directly to our players. More importantly, our players spoke directly to us, and the results have been pretty remarkable. Yeah, I was a founder of this group. I started the Discord. I made a Discord with EvDog, and we started finding other way more qualified people. The amount of work that these guys were putting to the Marvel Strike Force Players Voice thing was not something I could keep up with, and I had to quickly leave before I contributed anything besides hitting the Create Discord button, talking to some people, and then handing the reins over, okay? These guys put in a lot of work to make this first step happen. About a year ago, the game makers behind MSF, our action-driven RPG set in the Marvel Universe, were at a crossroads. RJ was in his first years as the game's general manager, and engagement was fairly stagnant after nearly 6 years in the market. I'd agree with that. That was like, what, right after the Apocalypse stuff? That was bad. Like, the Apocalypse stuff, they made everybody build the exact same team to the exact same level. Shit was awful. It was awful. You know, Crucible, for Arena, War, everything, everyone had the exact same teams across the board, okay? So I agree that nearly 6 years, it felt stagnant. A longtime player of the game, RJ, came to the role with feedback he was seeing in other player communities. The events we were running weren't as impactful as our players had hoped, and we were releasing characters too quickly. Yes, it was like 4 characters a month sometimes. Many of these comments echoed his own take on the game, and RJ, Ryan Jacobson, and team were mulling over next steps. Several members of the Marvel Strike Force player community happened to send us a 43-page report. Yeah, EvDog went nuts, man. EvDog talked slow. For him to write 43 pages, it had to be Sevi. It would have taken him 43 years to write 43 pages, I swear to God. Any game maker will tell you that there's generally a cohort of the player base that makes requests outside the realm of possibilities and basic business constraints. Yes, I'm free to play. Give me everything that everybody has. I want to build up every single tune. I want this right away. I want that. Yes, I would agree with that. But the considerations in this player document were extremely mature, realistic, and made with care. They also represented a range of players, demographics, and experiences. Yes. EvDog, Beta Ray Bill, and Sevi were all very, very, very big spenders who had friends that were not very, very, very big spenders, right? And so they had a unique disposition to be able to present things realistically for a wide range of players that Scopely could then actually sink their teeth into and then maybe make some concessions. That's how it all started. Instead of filing their complaints away or discussing them privately, RJ and the MSF team invited the authors of the document to a conversation. In the meeting, the document's authors had valuable feedback on topics ranging from our gold hoarding events to the cadence of new superhero releases. But most importantly, we heard that they wanted to impact the game with us as partners. They loved the universe we'd create together and the community they'd built. All they wanted was a seat at the table. I don't know if they're going to get into this, but yes, the hoarding was addressed for like 90% of things, and the superhero cadence was also addressed. Both of those were very, very good things, and it came from the Players Voice movement. Our players are willing to give us their most valuable resource, their time. That's going to be important as we get to the later part of this video. And we felt it was our responsibility to give them the voice and our time in return. So we kicked off a partnership to create the first ever Marvel Strike Force Player Voice Council, spearheaded by the community who submitted the report. This group took it upon themselves to gather applications, host voting, and execute elections to set up a council of representatives with different playstyles. The council drives agendas, topics ranging from player feedback to upcoming features, and is a forum for our game team to present future content. We also share meeting minutes so the broader community can participate and have visibility. They have been more visible up until recently, right? Recently, they started, well, experimenting, I think is the word they like to use. Soon after we launched our council, player engagement increased almost immediately. Today, overall community sentiment is at an all-time high. When was this made? When did this come out? Is there a date on this? August 14th. This was before the big announcement, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, sure. Yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah. Yep. They're right. And then they just shit all over this statement. Anyway. RJ said that players heard and our team of game makers have found new directions in their work. Now we have our game makers are creating something. It's common for someone to say, hey, did you run this by the player council? Here are a few tips on how to collaborate with your players. I don't know if we're going to need to read this. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to need to read this. But the communication and the game in August when this was posted. Oh, hi, Sevi. We're talking about your message soon. I would 100% agree. It was an all-time high. Things were really good. They even started changing the meta by having these character stats for new characters be way more inflated. Way more inflated. And that has been a huge advantage, but it's also something that the community kind of just shrugged off like, okay, fine. We're going to get Sevi's message is going to explain the rest of that. I just want to read the rest of this and see if there's anything here. When RJ first invited the authors of the player report to sit down to communicate their thoughts, he knew it was important to give them the floor. He said, we had a 2-hour session with them, and as they vented, I didn't try to explain the rationale behind their decisions, I just listened. In the meeting, the document's authors had valuable feedback with the team might have missed if they had been preoccupied with defending their decisions or steer conversation. Okay, like, relax a little bit. Relax a little bit with the whole venting thing. Relax a little bit with the whole venting thing. I know, yeah, Sevi, Beta, and Evdog are not the type to go off and vent. Yeah, that's cap. Okay. Establish basic parameters, then stay out of the way. The council, which is self-governed, that's true, consisting of a rotating set of representatives who gather topics from fellow MSF players on Reddit, stay off Reddit, and other message boards and community meeting places. Their representatives include low, medium, and high spenders to gather different perspectives. True. I would also include highest spenders. Importantly, Scopely, it doesn't have its, and also free to play. They said low, but also completely free. Scopely doesn't have its hand in the pie, as RJ says. The players determine their own leadership, and the council could disband at any time or change its members or its terms without our approval. Yeah, they did everything demographically, is my understanding, though. Like, they had votes and everything like that. Yeah. Keep it consistent. Initially, the Marvel Strike Force team met with the council once a week to go over progress on key recommendations from the document. Now the council meets bi-weekly. Its members speak directly to MSF game makers about their notes, and the MSF team regularly runs new ideas by the council. These include changes to the features economy, events, and any topic. RJ says the team tries to be as open and honest as it can be. Doesn't say full transparency. Like, this type of vague statement, you need to immediately throw your red flags up, right? RJ says the team tries to be as open and honest as it can be, which means it's not completely honest, not completely transparent. Which, it's their game. They don't have to. That's all fine. But that's gonna come into play later. All right. Following feedback and progress, RJ dedicated one of the team's managers to act as I can't say that word, to the group to field regular questions and suggestions from the council as it makes changes and then push feedback to Scopely. To their credit, the council understands that not every suggestion they make will be acted upon, but we act on many of them. I would agree that that's true. Again, there's going to be a lot of outland, and this is also just a form of business, right? You do the big ask so you actually can then compromise down to what you actually wanted. That's kind of, it's a business tactic. It makes sense. This kind of representation may not work for every game, but for a title like Marvel Strike Force with a dedicated player community that finds connection within a game world for years on end, the passion of this core audience can be your development team's greatest asset and partner. You can get early feedback from various players and archetypes to see how a new feature fits into their daily experience of the game. I would agree with that. I mean, yeah, if you're going to make a game for people, you should, make it for the people. The takeaway here is that almost any game-making team with a hyper-engaged, dedicated community can do what we did. This virtual online, okay, do what we did. You were given an opportunity from some of the biggest names in said community, and you acted on it. Good job. You didn't shoot yourself in the foot for once, until you did. All right. Over the past few days, since the future of character releases blog was revealed, I have heard from many of you about your thoughts and opinions on the future of the game. So let's give a little TL didn't read or didn't watch videos on what this is. Basically, Scopely was like, about the whole character release for free-to-play players thing, and also, this does actually affect spenders. We'll touch on that. It has historically been, the precedent was set that it would be anywhere between, I think like Red Goblin was 7 days. He's an outlier though. And at the high end, it'd be 14 days. So 7 to 14, split the baby, call it, 10, 11 days would be the normal lag time between the character offers, where, characters cost anywhere between $50 to $100 to unlock. $50 to $100 for one character to unlock 3 different characters a month, plus $80 in battle passes. Okay? Just so everyone's setting the stage on this. Yes, we're going to cry about spending money here. Instead of it being, 10 to 11 days where someone who doesn't spend money, or that much money anyway, can reasonably unlock a character or start unlocking a character. It's actually a few lag days after that initial 11 days. Instead of that, they're going to go to more around 30 days, up to 60 days. We had a call. It was unclear, very vague, leaving it up to whatever they want to change it to, depending on the kind of feedback they get here. And in the meantime, we're going to get these horrible orbs where you can range from 0 shards. Now there's a guaranteed 1 shard in the Sentinel orb. Or you could potentially get 100 shards if you're lucky. There's a 1 in 250% chance. I've heard of a lot of people saying that they are going to be opening. Here, we can do one right now, actually. We could show this orb in action. How about that? Okay, so let's show this orb in action. This is a Thanos orb. So, what is this? We have a 5% chance to get 1 Gladiator shard, an 8% chance to get a Gore shard, or a 11% chance to get Thanos. Let's see who we get. Are you going to be surprised if this is Surfer? Surfer, the 3-year-old character, the only character in there that happens to have, I don't know, maybe a 75% chance of dropping. This seems to be the method they want to go to for the start of a character's release method. This is the crux of the conversation here, if I'm not mistaken. Sevi, you're in the chat. If I'm wrong, let me know. Some were positive and felt like this was needed to change to allow the advantages to those who spend. First of all, let me talk directly to those people. Get fucking better at the game, okay? If with teams like the Annihilators and spending to get Annihilators at higher stars or diamonds, if you can't get the advantage from having them with their new meta stats to win against other people, just asking for exclusivity, I don't know what to tell you. You're bad at the game. You can get good. Watch good content creators. Listen to your alliance mates. If you're putting effort enough into the game to complain about not having an advantage, shift that effort over into finding some cool counters. Because the second you use the same cool counters as the super try-hard mid-game spenders or free-to-play people, you're going to smash them. You just will. Good content creators like that stunning lad, Dorky Dad. Yes, Sevi, we can jump into voice chat real quick. Let me continue reading this on. Let me continue reading. A great number of people who had negative view of the changes. Yeah, I think 99% of people had a negative view. As a high spender in the game, I can see the pros and cons of this decision by Scopely. It's not an easy line to walk while trying to please. I was going to say pleasure. That would have been a bad word. Everyone and still make money as a business. However, in my personal opinion, I wholeheartedly disagree with this direction of the game is going in. Let's be real here. Scopely is being Sevi is being super honest in this messaging. And we'll get her in voice chat, and she can explain it in her own words if she so chooses. As a spender, I choose to spend for 2 main reasons. Advantage and time savings. Blitz event? Yeah, she doesn't want to do Blitz event. Look, she's busy. My understanding is she runs a cluster with 800 players in it. I run a baby alliance with 24 people. No, that's too strong a word. I exist in a baby alliance where I have the leader tag thrown on, and that's it. I have the leader tag thrown. Oh, you're in the chat down here. Okay, let me come join you, Sevi. I'm just going to finish my thought here. The idea of, I'm sure she's not responsible for all of the alliances. I'm sure she doesn't run the whole player's voice, which she talks about here directly. I'm sure she doesn't, wipe all their bums and hold their hands when they cross the street. But just having to interact with that many people, having something to do with that, that's a big task. All right, we're going to jump in voice chat with Sevi right now. Hey, Sevi, how's it going?
Hey, I gotta mute your Twitch stream so I can watch the chat too.
Sounds good.
Um, so yeah, had a little bit of an announcement yesterday.
Yeah, okay, so let's jump down to the bottom real quick so we just know the end result, and then we can talk about how you got there. So, you've retired from the game. You're not spending, but you're also not playing?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
As you know, I play for Rockets, and I let them know before I posted this that I was intending on retiring from the game.
Mhm.
I am waiting for them to replace me to retire because I am not going to screw over my alliance
Yeah.
and just quit midweek. They're high war, high raid, and I love them so much. I will not do that to them.
Right, and that's
But
good. That's
it
going to
is a
speak into
loss.
why this was such a real decision that you had to take some time to think about. So yeah, Sunday. If you don't play Marvel Strike Force, I don't know why you'd be watching this video, but if you don't, if you leave before like a Sunday, then your alliance is going to be short manned because basically you can only recruit in this game on a Sunday, or whoever is being recruited is screwing their alliance over, but they're also not getting the rewards. So that's just kind of how that works. But so you're going to be leaving the game when you get a replacement. What about your cluster?
I am also stepping out of leading my cluster too. I love them so much.
Hmm.
I actually care about this community probably far more than I should, but it doesn't feel right to continue leading something that I am not actively playing. I am sticking around MSFPV
Mm-hmm.
because I am the last original founder and I hold all the knowledge. I got to get everybody caught up on procedures. Like this happened here. They need to get access to everything I have access to as far as like data spreadsheets and all that. So my intent is to stay in MSFPV for a while, like Shusky does, and help out that way. But eventually, I will be phasing out
Okay.
because I just I have always done this when I do not fundamentally agree with a company. I'll use Chick-fil-A as an example. I don't agree with their principles. And I don't care how good their food is or how good their service is. You cannot pay me enough to spend money there.
Yeah.
I will not do it.
Right.
And because of these principles, I had to sit back and I'm like, I'm sitting here advocating for free to play and saying I don't agree for this stuff, but I'm still giving Scopely money.
Yeah.
And that's not helping things. And Thursday after that blog came out, and unfortunately, I only got 20 minutes notice before your Envoy embargo dropped, which
So you guys didn't know this was happening either until then?
not so we had ideas that they were experimenting and like doing different things with unlocks. I was not aware that this is the move that they were doing. They did not tell us until 20 minutes before the Envoy embargo dropped, and that
Yikes.
was kind of a slap in the face. And I've discussed this with Scopely, and and they understand my feelings on that too. But really, the decision behind this was the blog post itself. Like, I just don't agree with locking people out like that. Like I said, I don't spend in this game to screw people over. I spend to have fun. I spend to have a little bit of an advantage, and I spend to save myself time.
Yeah.
I do not spend to see people struggle to unlock, to feel like they have to spend because events are so convoluted and complex. I can't even follow the events, and I spend a shit ton.
Yeah. I mean, how
So,
many events do we have in game right now? 50? Like, what's going on with that?
so
It's
many.
crazy.
And the leaderboards are starting to creep back up. And I know that some leaderboards, like OML and Scroll, are just insane that people drop tons of money on. But other leaderboards, like those regular ones for regular characters having diamonds,
Yeah.
not many people are spending a ton on those after a while.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, the Thanos endgame leaderboard was nowhere near, except for well, when they screwed up the Shattered Dimension, it was nowhere near as competitive as the Old Man Logan or the Skrull one, right? Uh,
right. So I did spend on the Thanos Endgame leaderboard, but
mhm.
not nearly as much as I had. I placed 288th. I think I bought one big offer and then the pop-ups behind the dailies every day, and that was it.
Right.
And I still placed 288. By
Right.
contrast, I spent $800 on the Panda Pool Diamond
Ah,
leaderboard, and I think I was top 150. No, I got a 3 diamond, so I was like top 75 there. But that $800 that I spent on Panda Pool would not have even scratched Scroll or OML. Like
yeah.
that, those were insane.
Yeah, I think I dropped like $200, maybe two. No, actually, no. With all the strike tokens I had, probably the equivalent of around $300 or $400 for just top 1,000. So like there,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. So let me ask you a question then, because you think this is bad for free to play. I think this is also really bad for light spenders, medium spenders. Because obviously, if you're buying the battle pass, realistically, most people in the world, $80 a month for a mobile game, that's pretty pricey, right? And then to gate those people out that are still supporting your game, that are still part of this community and a loud part of this community, because they're spending $80, they're invested in the community. To start gating them out, is that not just crazy to you? I think that's crazy.
It is crazy. Sorry, I was reading a question in here. Somebody asked about the policies at Chick-fil-A. So I am very supportive of the LGBTQ community, and Chick-fil-A is anti-LGBTQ, and that is why I don't support them. So I'm not anti-religion.
Fair enough.
I just wanted to clarify that. I apologize. Very off topic,
No,
but
no worries. Well, while we're off topic, there was another question. If things are being corrected and you get much better place, would you want to be? Would you return just as a player?
I don't know, because in the past, when I have quit a game twice, and this will be my second quit, I have never come back.
Right.
It's really hard, because I feel like if I did come back, there would be a lot of expectation for me to go back to leading things,
Mm-hmm.
for me to go back to spending what I did. So I haven't decided yet. I'm pretty sure I won't, but I'm going to leave the door open a little bit because I do care about this community so much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the right move. Never say never. The problem is, like you say, this if this is the second time, I always equate it to like a relationship, right? The first time you break up with somebody, it's like, okay, you could try again. The second time, it's like, all right, now what are we doing here? Because now it's just like a toxic back and forth, back and forth. I get you on that.
Right.
All right. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's get back to what we were talking about earlier. $80 on the game pass buyers, because they're spending so that they can actually level everything, gear everything, keep up at least in that metric. But then they're lacking on stars like crazy, right? How do you feel about them sort of trying to push for those people to spend more? Is it responsible for them to try and do that to people, or to just try and push those people out of the game, which might be the case for some people? And I'll have a follow-up question after. Go ahead.
So I understand that Scopely is a business and they got to make money. And the way to make money is either to get people to spend more, ones that are already spending, or to find new players to spend. And while we have had an influx of new players, I think they're really leaning hard on the people who are already in game
Yeah.
and spending to spend more. And I mean, I know what my budget is. People are going to think, I'm just going to admit here, I'm a Kraken. Like, that's where I'm at in this game at this point. I have been free to play. I have been a light spender. I have been a middle spender. And now I'm Kraken. I have the disposable income to do that. So I spend anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 a month on this game, which is insane now that I think about it and I look at everything. But I have a set budget that I'm going to spend. I will not spend more than that. So if you're pushing me to spend more than that, it's irresponsible. And it doesn't feel like a great business practice, you know? Yeah. And honestly, even spending $2,000 in a month in a game, while it is a lot at this point, some of it just feels like I'm just keeping up, like just barely treading water. It's not really getting ahead when you're playing in the top 10, because that's what everybody is spending up there.
Yeah.
If I move down towards the middle, then yeah, I'm getting a massive advantage. But where I play at, I don't. It's like that's the basic, that's where you have to be in order to play there, and it's treading water.
Yeah.
To push more people like that is insane, because not everybody has that extra income. And you know, this game can be addictive. So if you get that into somebody who doesn't have that income, you can seriously mess up their life. I've seen it happen in another game that I played.
Yeah.
And it was a friend of mine, and he ended up committing suicide.
Oh.
So
yeah, money can alter your life. If you catch the bug, it can alter your life. So what you said there, I think, was very important, right? Like, there's diminishing returns on spending because at a certain point, the game is what 75% PvP, like arena, crucible, war. Like you're spending against other people who are also spending. So if that's what everyone's spending, like if someone is complaining about the advantages of spending money, they got to realize like whatever advantages is not going to be pushed to them, all the other spenders are going to get it as well. So I don't agree with the idea that having the characters be exclusive is actually going to change things in the top 10 like you were talking about, because everyone is just going to kind of reevaluate how they spend, and then it's just going to be the same thing. There might be less people who are keeping up with you at that point, but there's an elo in war, there's elo in crucible. You're still going to be facing against the same people who decide to take that journey with you to spend more. You also said earlier, and this was going to be my second question, and that article came out in August 14th. The game wasn't such a great place. They were doing such cool things for new players, for free players, like the Shadow Dimension. They had all these rewards. They were really kind of creating a flux of new players or new spenders as well that were buying passes, that were doing stuff like this. I can't imagine that there's going to be enough people like yourself, which congratulations. Like if you're able to spend that and you're healthy, that you just did something right in life, right? There's going to be way more people who could budget, $40 a month, maybe that $80 a month, which I think is still crazy for a mobile game. So many more of those players who could come to Marvel Strike Force, who could get hooked. But all of a sudden, they'll start seeing, well, I'm not getting characters within 30 days, within 45 days, within 60 days, whatever the case may be. Is it not just business irresponsible to try and siphon from the top end instead of blowing up the base like they have been? Like, I thought the game was growing. My metrics are through the roof. I see all these new players. In the Baby Alliance I started, I see so many people spending. I see Captain Britain's all over the place in gold and in platinum. Like, people were spending. They didn't need to take it to this extreme. What do you think about that?
I do think that it is an extreme here. I know that there are more new players coming through. I've seen them in recruiting in my cluster, and we honestly don't have the alliances to hold all of them because nobody wants to lead. This is so time consuming being a leader. But I honestly sometimes think that Scopely thinks COVID level numbers are the standard and what people can do right now. And it's just not.
Yeah, not sustainable.
It's not. And even increasing, the arena cores, like we did polls about that, and most people are having to spend all of these cores in order to just barely be able to unlock the characters. And I understand, that's probably part of their strategy, but it feels like you took something good and then monkey pawed the shit out of it.
Yeah, 100%. They're also using that in their statistics to warrant this change to the character release. They're like, yeah, Annihilators and Illuminati, so many more people have so much more stars in those characters when there's so many asterisks besides those characters that led people to core more for them, right? And led people to actually buy more of this. It was a crazy stat point to point to suggest we could do this.
And, a lot of this, they did this with arena characters, which is like the biggest draw for free-to-play players. If they're going to buy any team or go hard on any team, it will be an arena one, because that is where you get all your cores for the rest of the year.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, they did the first exclusive pay-only non-Dark Dimension character in a long time named Captain Britain. So people went hard on Illuminati for that, and then they did an arena team right after. People go hard on arena teams for the exact reasons you said. So using those as stat points I thought was wild. Anyway, with all that stuff said, is there anything you'd like to say to everybody here while we got them?
I mean, I love this community so much. This was a super difficult decision to come to. I have put so much of my time, my heart, and my soul into it. This for me is a principled stand. I've seen a lot of people saying, why quit the game if you're still going to help with MSFPV? But for me, it's more about showing them that I just don't want to give them my money when I don't agree with where they're going, and I don't want to participate in their metrics as far as like daily active users are concerned. My account will rot. It will not be sold. It will not be gifted. It will just die. because that is what I feel will show the biggest statement.
And it definitely will. It definitely will. Because that's the dirty secret of Marvel Strike Force, right? It's cheaper to buy a maxed out account than to start from scratch. Yeah, to those people who would think, like, why would you see, like, because you don't want to screw people over. And I think that speaks to your character. And I think that speaks to kind of the identity of the player's voice movement. How it did start, and it is run by people that cared about as many people as they could possibly care and cater to. So I guess before we head out, why don't you tell us about the people that are going to be taking over? So Evan B, Lips, and Johnny. So we get some more FaceTime with them, or get some more knowledge.
So Evan and Johnny have been involved in previous movements. Evan is involved in the Unlimited cluster, and he's been in MSFPB management, and he's a former council member too. All three of them are former council members.
Okay.
So Evan's been here almost since day one, but in a management position, and then he moved over to council. Lips he runs Chasing Gravy. He's actually in my cluster, and when he got elected to council, he was in Allspark.
Okay.
And to be honest, I was a little bit worried because I wasn't sure who he was. It was like, who, when you bring in a whole bunch of people and you don't know, and you're starting this council, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking. But Lips is like, oh, he's one of my favorite people to talk to. He's got an excellent voice, and he is super intelligent. And Johnny is just so much fun. You guys probably know him from leaderboards. He's
the Sex Panther, Johnny.
Yes, he's in Sex Panther.
Okay.
But Johnny, everybody's like, oh, you're a Kraken council. And I've heard it from a lot of people. But I have always seen Johnny advocate for what's best for the community, including what's best for the free-to-play. So I think that you guys would be in excellent hands with them. They take a very measured approach, similar to what Ev, Beta, and I were. And that's a big reason why Path and I chose to move them up into leadership and push them into these roles. They have the experience. They know how the councils run. They have the relationship with Scopely. They just need to get to know you guys better. So
right on. Well, looking forward to getting to know them. And hey, if they ever want to come on and talk, let me know, and we'll put them on. I'm happy that that you're doing this of your own volition, and that you're making the call that you feel is best for yourself, as opposed to becoming miserable and bogged down. Because honestly, you've done great things with the council, and I'd like to personally thank you for doing that, because the envoys, we get shit done compared to you guys. So I'm hopeful that you can train these guys up, these gals up, whatever the case may be.
They're guys. All of them are guys.
They're all guys. Oh, Jesus. Well, I hope you can train them all up so they can run it just as well as you, Evdog, and Beta started it. And then when you took the torch, I hope you guys can keep that going. And again, thank you so much for everything you did for your cluster, for the community, and for the Player's Voice.
No problem. I appreciate it, Dorky. Hey, and by the way, in case nobody knew this, Dorky and Ev had this idea to start the MSFPV. I only took over because Dorky got too busy to help with things. So a lot of this came from you.
Yeah, I had a baby.
I know. So I don't think people realize that. And I know you're not that involved anymore. But they should be aware, that a lot of this came from Dorky and Ev working together.
I mean,
I just came in at right before we ended up going public.
Yeah, I started the Discord, and then I handed it off to somebody who was much more qualified at making it fancy, and that was the limit of my contribution. Just so you know, you guys did everything. All right, well, thank you so much, Sevi, and hey, if you find another awesome game that you end up supporting and playing because they got the kind of morals that you're into, let me know.
Will do.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.